As of right now, 37 states in the nation have legalized medical marijuana, Alabama being one of them. And although medical marijuana is legal, not much protection is put in place for its users. Nixon, can you tell us more about this?
Of course I can, Kenesha, and you're right. If you use medical marijuana here not in Huntsville, in Alabama, the whole entire state, you're not protected against losing your job or going to jail. Which begs the question, why legalize it in the first place if using it is so complicated? And what are the next steps in making use of medical marijuana safer?
No one believed that Alabama would be legal. Everybody was certain that we would be the last, and we're not.
Although the use of medical marijuana has been legalized in the state of Alabama, using medical marijuana in Alabama is much more complicated.
There's so little law about cannabis other than the laws that make it illegal and then the law that makes it legal. There's nothing else. There's no guidelines, no infrastructure within legislation to sort of, protect anybody.
Particularly when it comes to medical marijuana use and employment.
There needs to be something in place for the people who are already in the workforce, who will be switching over to improve their quality of life, and for people getting jobs who are just trying to improve their quality of life.
And especially when it comes to those who want to switch over to medical marijuana, but work in a place with low to zero tolerance.
So really, at the end of the day, it's the employer's choice. There are plenty of places, especially when you're talking about heavy machinery or law enforcement, medical personnel, where there's a zero tolerance policy.
Many argue that drug testing for substances like marijuana don't line up with actual usage.
It's different because if you drink a beer on a Friday night and you get drug tested on a Monday, you're not going to test positive for alcohol, and you might even still be drunk from Sunday night. But you know what I mean? And it's okay to go to work that way. But with THC, the body metabolizes it much more slowly. And so if you were to take a hit or two off of a joint or have a gummy, a week later, you may still test positive.
Nonetheless, those in support of legalizing marijuana are happy to see Alabama here, even if there's much more to do.
We are grateful for the legislation. We're grateful to have made that big leap. And now we have to put some foundation in place that makes sense for the citizens of Alabama, for the patients.
For more information on the legalization of medical marijuana, head on over to fox54.com.
Well, for the first time in Alabama history, several businesses were awarded medical marijuana licenses today, a major move in the cannabis industry here, Nixon. And I hear there are several types of licenses that were awarded. Can you break it down for us?
Absolutely, Kenesha. In total, 90 different companies applied across the state. But of those, only 21 were actually granted licenses. I spoke with the founder and director of Alabama Cannabis Industry Association. She helps me break down the differences between those licenses. Let's just dive right into it. The largest category of licenses granted today belongs to the Integrated Facility category. Shay Garrigan, founder of the Alabama Cannabis Industry Association, says this is the large license that everybody wants.
You can grow your own cannabis, you can process your own cannabis, and you're allowed up to five different retail locations in about 5 different counties that you can dispense your own product to.
The next type is the cultivator license. Just like a farmer cultivates their own crops, the same goes for growing cannabis.
You've got that cultivator that's going to be growing the medical cannabis.
Up next, there is the processor license, which is important in Alabama as only certain forms of medical marijuana are allowed to be legally consumed.
We don't have flower here in the state of Alabama, so it'll be having to be processed into one of the approved forms of the way that we can administer the medication.
The dispensary license is the license that gives businesses the right to sell directly to the consumer.
The dispensary operations is actually what is going to be able to serve the patient.
There's also a license for secure transport, from the actual cannabis itself to the money made from it.
They transport the products from the stores, like how the harvest has to get to the processor, how the packaging has to get to the retail dispensaries, how the money has to get to the bank.
Ending off with the category with the least amount of licenses granted being the state testing lab license. With only one license granted, this allows labs to process and test cannabis products that have been cultivated and processed at licensed facilities.
I just hope they're able to keep up with the amount of volume that's going to be produced here in the state.
Fox 54 will continue to stay up to date on all things medical marijuana related. As Garrigan says, we are making way in the right direction, but we still have more to go. For more information on those granted licenses and the differences between them, head on over to fox54.com.
All right, folks, don't expect medical marijuana prescriptions anytime soon in Alabama. A judge issued a halt in the business licensing process. It reinforces a decision made last week by the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission to withdraw offers made earlier this month after a, quote, potential inconsistency in the scoring of businesses that applied. Two companies that applied for licenses are suing the AMCC, saying there were problems with the selection process from day one.
We're learning more tonight about what led to a pause in the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission's licensing of businesses last month. AMCC Director Josh McMillan said a mathematical error in calculating the scores used to award licenses was detected. His attorney adding that scores from third-party evaluators and the commission were possibly mistabulated. A judge handling a lawsuit between the AMCC and license applicants says he hopes the commission can self-correct the issue and avoid legal intervention.
As the legal fight continues over medical marijuana licenses in Alabama, there are concerns that people who are dealing with pain or anxiety are suffering right now without having access to medical cannabis. Our Sedona Meadows visits a local business owner who sells hemp-derived THC and wants people to know these products are legal and could help.
Here at the Shop Cannabar and Mercantile in Huntsville, you'll see all sorts of hemp-derived products. But underneath this collection is a business owner's passion to help reduce people's pain.
My dad got sick, and going through the process with trying to help find him products while he was going through chemotherapy. I wanted my father to be able to function at the end of his life and be comfortable. And everybody deserves that.
Matt Batson, who owns the shop, has made it his mission to find quality hemp products.
So we try to cover all of the cannabinoid bases. If you are looking for something for sleep or pain or depression or anxiety, we have a little something for everyone.
This comes at a time when medical cannabis remains on hold in Alabama due to the ongoing legal fight over medical marijuana licenses in the state. So, Batson wants people who are waiting for medical cannabis to know there are legal products available now.
There are hemp-derived products that will help you with everything that the medical marijuana will help you with.
These products are legal to sell because of the 2018 Farm Bill, which removed hemp from the definition of marijuana in the Controlled Substances Act. But the hemp can't contain more than 0.3% THC.
I want more awareness that the industry has changed. It's not what it used to be. The products have changed. I think the outlook that America has on the products is changing.
Batson says if you are considering trying these products, to ask questions and find the best option for you.
You should be able to go into a store and tell them you have anxiety or depression or pain or what your condition is, and they should be able to quickly figure out what you need and help you go from there. But they're available now.
In Huntsville, Sedona Meadows, Fox 54 News.
Now, even though some companies were recently selected for licenses by the commission, they're facing a legal battle that's in turn delaying any disbursement of medical cannabis in the state. Our Sedona Meadows learns where everything stands right now.
When Alabama's Medical Cannabis Act was signed into law in May of 2021 and the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission, or AMCC, got to work in October of 2021, many didn't foresee that 2 years later, we'd still be on hold with getting medical cannabis distributed within the state.
We definitely leave it to Alabama. We always like to do things a lot differently down here.
Shay Garrigan, the founding director of the nonprofit Alabama Cannabis Industry Association, consults with individuals seeking medical marijuana licenses and supports the AMCC while bringing any questions or concerns to them about the process. She shares a stay was placed on recently approved licenses.
We can't move forward with a patient registry list or certifying, licensing doctors to certify patients or for seed to sale. So it's affected both parties. So the people that have received a license along with the commission.
This hold is due to the current lawsuits against the commission that claim there were violations throughout the application process, like an alleged violation of the Open Meetings Act.
We don't know what was said behind closed doors and if there was ever anything, but that's what the lawsuit's about.
Or a claim that there were file size issues and limitations when filling out the application. Garrigan says she worked with applicants who had this issue and reached out to the commission with questions hours before the application deadline.
We sent a message over to the commission immediately, probably within about a minute. They responded with, "This is how to handle this."
As she's been observing this case in the courtroom, Garrigan says the term workaround has been used in reference to the applicants who got their questions answered about uploading files. But not everyone got this information if they had the issue.
If they didn't contact the commission and let the commission know that they were having issues, the commission had no way to give them a quote workaround in order to get their file docs to be submitted.
Garrigan hopes the state will soon be able to continue with the process to make medical cannabis accessible.
What we need to do right now is just get started, just hit the ground running, and it doesn't, we'll be able to fix the problems as they come up and, adjust the program to the way that it needs to be adjusted. But for right now, we can't do anything when we don't know anything.
AMCC has their next meeting scheduled for October 12th. Sedona Meadows, Fox 54 News.
Oh, it was definitely due to the litigations.
After a settlement announced earlier today, the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission is going back to the drawing board as scores to rank applicants in the application process are being tossed out.
It was definitely made to really try to come to terms and to make all of the applicants that feel like they, that they weren't heard or that they needed to be heard more in the application. It definitely was a compromise that we were able to come through.
The litigation came due to a third-party grading system that applicants believe wasn't fair.
We kind of saw it coming. Now, the way that it had taken shape, if you're trying to do something right for the people and maybe trying to do, like maybe there's an underlying current here where you're trying to get the medication to the people faster and you feel like your product is a lot more quality than the other guys that have been chosen. I'm all about that. Let's get going. And, and I'm all about helping anyone that really does want to make a difference here in Alabama.
Garrigan says the ongoing application process is putting a stall on getting to the next phase.
Right now, what we need is we have to have licensees and we have to have patients and the doctors. And those are the things that I have been working on are the patients and the doctors, because that's an entirely different phase. We've got people in certain areas that are not able to access medical cannabis, nor are they even aware of it. And in order for them to be able to purchase it for any type of health diagnosed condition, they would have to apply through the commission. In a lot of areas here in the state of Alabama, they don't have internet access. So there's a lot of work that's going to have to go into after these guys get their license.
Garrigan also wants to tell those who may get denied not to panic.
Please don't take this personal. This whole process and how we've gotten here has been a challenge. We're all growing up in this together. Just because these licenses have been handed out, that doesn't mean this is the last round of license.
For Fox 54 News, I'm Kevin